So just a quick video about 5.5678. Bacteria in humans. This connects with biotechnology because we use bacteria to make cheese, yogurt, sauerkraut. We use medicines to make insulin. We use bacteria to make medicines and chemicals to use as medicines, such as insulin. They used to get insulin from cow pancreases, but they've engineered bacteria to make insulin. Digestion. Bacteria in your gut help break down some of the food that you normally can't break down, and you actually get nutrients from that. They also help decompose materials so that they can be reused in the ecosystem. They're important decomposers. Okay. Bacteria can be harmful, though. For example, strep throat, tuberculosis, pneumonia, leprosy, and Lyme disease are all caused by bacteria. Lyme disease is spread by ticks, so that's why you always want to be careful during the summer. Antibiotics kill bacteria. They do not fight viruses, just bacteria. Okay. Now, sometimes you might go to the doctor and maybe you have a cold caused by a virus, but while fighting that virus, you also got a sinus infection caused by bacteria. Okay, so you would have antibiotics for the sinus infection, not for the virus. Food contamination, also known as food poisoning, is when bacteria find their way into our food. Ever so often there's a recall where lettuce or something has been contaminated with E. coli. That's food bacterial contamination in food. If you ate it, you would get sick. That would be food poisoning. A good way to prevent this at home is to cook food properly. Wash your hands and your surfaces between preparing different things. So if you prepare chicken and then that's in the oven baking, then while that's baking, you're like, oh, I'll cut up some apples. You've got to wash your hands in between. Okay, don't use the same knife to cut the apples that you cut the chicken with. Okay, it can also be used to make biological weapons. Back in 2001, after 9/11, there was envelopes with a white powder in them sent out. That white powder tested positive for anthrax. So that was an attempt to do harm. But anyway, that's the least pleasant of these, actually. But it is a possibility. All right, Archaea. Again, we have the videos. You can get those links and look them up. Archaea are prokaryotes, so they do not have a nucleus. They have their own domain now because they are genetically different than bacteria. Many of them are extremophiles. Most are chemotrophs, which means they break down chemicals and use the energy in those chemical bonds. Some live in close relationships where they benefit, so does the other organism. That's called mutualism. They're generally harmless and sometimes even beneficial. Where they live, some live in extremely salty environments like the Dead Sea. These are called halophiles. Halo means salt, phile means loving. Thermophiles might live in a geyser or a hot spring or even near a volcano. So these are heat-loving archaea. Methanogens, okay, so gen means origin, methane means, methane. They live in swamps, and as they break down things, they release methane. They also live in the guts of cows and termites, and as they break down the cellulose that the cows and the termites eat, they produce methane. Archaea can also live in ocean surface with the plankton and in the soil. So scientists are still learning about the archaea. All right. And there's Amoeba Sister video on Archaea you can look up. And then the next chapter is on Protist. All right. Stay curious.